If you'd like to know where all these pieces go back on this car, or you're doing a disc brake conversion kit on your own, stay tuned. I did a little more research last night on the old interweb. Ames is not available today because it's Sunday. They get the day off. But what I can learn and what I can see is this is for 1967 and 1968 Camaro or Firebird, and that's for 69. The obvious clue is that it's a whole lot shorter by about 3/4 of an inch. Difference is 1969 dash actually sticks further from the firewall. That's why you need a longer bracket, but not quite sure why Ames puts that as 1969 only. But we're able to make this thing work great. Looks just like the factory one with the reinforcements and everything. So it's going to support the clutch pedal just great. So we get this put in, get the brakes operational and the clutch just engaging. Next thing is get the old go pedal to work and then maybe go for a drive. We get started here with the brake pedal, clutch pedal support. We get this assembled, get the pedals installed, bushings and everything put on it, then get it mounted up here inside the, I guess on the firewall to the dash there. Then we can start hanging the rest of the parts. Now, first off, this is the whole main shaft the clutch pedal rides on, and also the brake pedal rides in there. Put a little thin layer of grease on it. From the factory, they have a little grease, I'm sure, but the replacement parts, no, not so much. So I'm gonna put a little thin coating of grease on this, get it assembled. Little snap rings in there. Shouldn't take too long to put this together. Of course, using the old infamous red grease again. Stuff works great on just about anything, really. And it was free, so I even like that more. Now, it'll be the pedal. I got a bushing that goes on here first. And then you gotta slide it just a little ways through. Then the brake pedal needs to go in next. And then the other bushing goes on the end. And there's a snap ring that goes in after that. There you have it. That's ready to be put in. Amazing how much better the original bracket fits in here. We tried that last time go around with the other bracket and it didn't work because, well, we've already discovered it's for 67 or 68, the best that I can tell. So after I talked to the fellows there at Ames, maybe they can enlighten me what's happening there, but I'm not going to return the part because, well, I'm using parts to make it to go. But nonetheless, just in case you want to buy one, you might ask them before you purchase it, does it really fit 1969? So I think they may have a glitch in their system. That looks a whole lot better. Putting the pedals in here, same height, so looking pretty good. The next thing here, we get the brake booster put on the other side of the firewall and start the nuts by hand and get everything all lined up. Do a little slight change of plans. I'm not going to mount the power brake booster up in place yet because I started thinking about it. It might be a whole lot easier to wrestle with the Z-bar into place now. If you look here, here's the frame bracket, mounts to the subframe. You shoot right over here behind the steering gearbox. In front of my finger, you see the ball stud. That's the pivot points for the Z-bar. I wanted to run the mechanical linkage on this car. I want kind of a vintage feel when driving it because I think it's kind of a whole lot cooler and kind of fun. This is the part that's hooked to our pedal, and that'll attach to the Z-bar once installed. So put a little grease on that end, then get the Z-bar put into place. Then we'll wrestle the power brake booster in. Just in case you might have noticed, if you've ever had a car with a Z-bar, the grease fitting is normally closer to the linkage towards the transmission. Well, in this case, well, I can't run that because these 2-inch primary headers, they won't clear. Just isn't gonna happen. So I had to relocate the grease fitting towards the outside of the car just a little bit. I can go straight up now between the frame and the header to get this lubricated for a good operation. But just a little FYI for you, little things when you're modifying cars, things like this tend to happen, but just weld that hole shut. drill and tap through the hole for the grease fitting. Good to go. Now we gotta get that on the ball stud. Wind it. And then the thread's actually squared off, so it actually drops into that channel. There you have it. Just a little dusty. Man, this thing needs some cleanup. Anyway, Z-bar is put in now. Put a little grease on the end here. It's got a little special, like felt wash to keep it from rattling, and put the spring clip on it. But then I think that once that's done now, we'll go ahead and now proceed with putting the brake booster in place. All right, Z-bar installed. Got the nut in place there. Firewall, I guess you should say seal. I gotta find the little bolts. I have them somewhere in the baggie. They're kind of a special little bolt, but if not, I'm sure anything else would work. I'm not doing a Concours numbers matching restoration, but this is that anti-rattle, I think felt washer. A little spring clip goes here on the inside, so that's all done. I'm gonna grab the brake booster here. I'll get that thing stabbed through the firewall. See if we can't get it put into place. Start one of these here for just because. Now these are a whole heck of a lot easier to put these on now with the fender and everything's out of the way. This car's all together. You gotta imagine the hood spring and everything. These are kind of a bear to get to. Right now, not so bad. First time I did a disc brake conversion on this car, I actually stole the parts off a 1970 Buick GSX. Stole the brake booster off it and the master cylinder spindles off the front and made it work. Those are actually the parts I took off this car and put on Project LeBron's before I sent it down the road. So they were still good parts, but I decided to get everything all new for this car this time around because I like the pretty anodized coating. It makes it look really cool under the hood. But let's get underneath it here and see if we get the brake pedal pinned off and then get these all tightened up. They'll figure out the brake lines for the master cylinder here next. Okay, now if I get lucky, that straddles. Right, it actually did. Okay, cool. This is where the brake pedal, of course, comes through, and it's actually lines up pretty close. So I'll get the pin that holds that in. Now, little fun fact, I've never seen 1969 actually have the return spring, but this actually mounts in this whole stack here, and you actually loop the springs to that, and it helps pull the brake pedal back up. But I've never seen one on 1969, but it must have came with that not 1969 brake pedal assembly. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it all on there just the same and get this brake pedal pinned off. All right, get you a little closer. Now what we've got is that mounted up in the hole here with the snap ring on there in place. And the cool part is the pedals are the same height. There's a rubber stop that goes on here for the clutch pedal. It's in place. It hits against that, and this is as high as the brake pedal is gonna go. So I've got that adjusted pretty close. I just kind of guessed where it needed to be up here. I'm sorry, the adjustment camera slip. There's a nut here, and you can actually adjust the clevis and turn the rod inside to change the pedal height, but I'm not gonna do nothing with it. They're both the same height, so that's gonna work pretty good. So pile of parts is actually diminishing quite greatly here. I'm down to, appears to be a master cylinder, proportioning valve, bracket, and a couple of lines. So let's do this one. All right, first off, kind of lay out the brake lines. These little 90-degree lines that come out of the master cylinder and go right into the proportioning valve. They have different size fittings, so it's almost idiot-proof. But anyway, I'll show you how they go on, which one goes where. This is the line that goes down to the driver's side brake hose mounting. Now, there's a little FYI. I bought this tubing kit from Inline Brake. They make stainless steel standard lines, but the thing they're going to ask you is the car originally come with drum brakes or disc brakes, because this bracket technically is different, where the brake hose mounts to the frame between a drum brake car and disc brake car. It relocates it just a little bit. So make sure you get that specified when you were ordering it. You are changing it to disc brakes, but it had drum brakes. Then they'll configure the lines a little bit different so they go on with ease. So this is the brake line that goes to the rear of the car. I've already had it mounted up. This is it goes over to the passenger side. It goes underneath the engine, pokes over through on that side of the engine. So I already kind of got the master cylinder kind of laying in place. I didn't bolt it on yet, but get the camera set up here. I'll show you how these all go on. Hope this will help you out. All right, like I said, we'll start here with the master cylinder, stab it on. Get the passenger side lock washer and nut started. That'll work. And this is mounted loosely on the bracket, so you have a little bit of wiggle room. I'll do the same with it, just kind of get it into place. Like I said, you're going to have to finesse these lines just a little bit to get them to go, but don't want to be too forceful because you'll kink or damage them. Now, I said the lines are almost idiot-proof. One has a larger fitting. It only fits in the rear port of the master cylinder, so you really can't go wrong there. Alright, those are both started. See how it still moves around. And the front one, I guess I should describe that. The front one has both the same size fitting, so again, really can't go wrong. Now, the passenger side line comes in from the bottom of the proportioning valve. This is the advantage of leaving everything loose so you can get that lined up. Alright. Now, one that goes to the rear, not quite lining up. I'm going to have to bend this a little bit. That wasn't too bad. Now those are all started. So far not going too bad here for me. Now this goes down to the driver's side down here to the brake hose to the caliper. That's not too far off. Okay, got all the lines started. This thing's still kind of a little bit loose, but definitely stiffen it up a whole lot. So what I'm gonna do now is start snugging up all these fittings, get it pulled up tight. And then we'll look for things like, make sure it's not rubbing against things. It's a little close there, but once everything's all tight, you can kind of finesse these lines and locate them how you want them, but they're actually looking pretty good right now. So anyway, run through all these fittings, get them all snugged up. Didn't bleed the master cylinder yet. Probably should do that, but I wanted to, I guess they get everything all test fitted. So trying to debate here. I may tighten all these other lines up and leave these ones loose. Let's see if I can get that back off and then get this thing bled out the master cylinder so it makes bleeding the rest of the brakes a whole lot easier. Got all the brake lines all tightened up and secured and happy. I'm just going to fill this full of fluid and then try to bleed the system, because it's 100% fluid free at this point. There is no fluid in this brake system whatsoever. So even if I bench bleed this, probably not going to help out a whole lot because I'm just going to keep pushing air through the system. So I'm going to fill this thing with fluid, crack some bleeder screws, let it gravity bleed while I snug up the rest of the hardware here, and we'll let it sit for a bit and see if that saves you some time on bleeding this thing out. Just let that sit for a while and see what it does. Hey, so there you have it. Brake system all assembled. Brake lines installed. So make sure you get the right stuff. Put it on there, bleed it out, working good again. So now I have officially operational brakes on Project Blackbird here again. So still haven't came up with a great name, but we're going to keep working on it. So I guess you could help me out. I've had this car since 1996. I took this car, bought it my senior year of high school, had no idea what I was doing, redid it back then, and well, doing it over now, get the clutch pedal adjusted, the Z-bar. I got the pedal in and the Z-bar in, but then you put the little link in and get it adjusted. There's gonna be a separate video for that. So If you like to see how this car is continuing or watch the thing to the end, please subscribe. I got a whole bunch more to put this thing back together, but I'm telling you, it's going to be a pretty neat ride when I'm all done. A 494 Pontiac, 4-speed behind it. Not sure what piece is going to break first, either the rear end or the 4-speed, or neither. Just probably blow the tires off. I'd probably never hook up. But if it did, I'm pretty sure the transmission is my weak link. What's your guess? Well, maybe you've built something like this before, but keep in mind it's a Pontiac 10-bolt rear end and a Muncie 4-speed. Both relatively durable for its time, but well, this engine's not from its time. It just kind of looks like it might be. So anyway, appreciate you following me on the journey. Next step around, I'll probably work on getting the clutch adjusted up, get the fuel lines trimmed down like they're supposed to be routed, and then maybe put some gas in this thing and a battery and see if this thing will light off. And then after that, I'm going to gut the steering column, go through it, restore it, grease it up, clean it, paint it the right color. I'm going to change the interior color to black on this car. It was blue, but like I said, plenty more to go. If you'd like to see this thing come to the end, please subscribe, share it with your friends. And of course, if you like what you see, hit the like button. It's going to help me out. I'm trying to grow this channel because I love these Firebirds. Hoping a lot of people out there too, just the same. But anyway, I guess I'm going to get out of here, and we'll see you next time. Well, there you have it. All the parts installed. The ones left over, the ones that were extra, came as doubles in the kit with the pedal and then the Z-bar kit that I bought. But no more extra goodies in here. This is even better looking now. Nice clutch pedal, a brake pedal, and a go pedal again. So that's going to be nice touch there. And get the parking brake assembly cleaned up and ready to put back on there too.